Hi everyone, welcome to Shazone 11 Healing. So today's topic is going to be what lunar energies are to be used for your spell work. So I'm going to start and with this video basically I'm starting a particular series on lunar magic, or if you may say, or if you however you may say it, the effect of moon and why is moon so important. So we are going to address some of the very significant points, that is, what is this lunar energies, why is the moon important, and then we are also going to look through the signs and elements and how you can perform elemental magic, and then we will be shifting and talking about why is moon so significant, and then we'll also have other parts on magic. So I have not really jotted down exactly what I want to do and how I want to move ahead in the future, but for now the first video is going to be on the moon. Now, right off the bat, what is the lunar energy or what is the moon energy and why is it so significant? I think I want to address this first, and then we can move ahead to talk about the different signs and elements and how you can understand during which season, what time, what type of magic should be performed. So, now when we talk about the lunar energies or when we talk about moon magic, the first thing why it is significant is going to be the fact that moon is the closest luminary body that is present to earth. Now many different the other planets have various other, sometimes have multiple moons, but earth, as all we all know, has a single moon, and this moon orbits around the earth, and naturally it is the closest luminary, as I've already mentioned, the closest star, and in astrology we call moon and sun as planets, okay, not as star bodies, but the meaning is all the same, yet we consider it as a part of the planetary system for easier understanding and applicability. Now, moon as a luminary or planet, however you wish to consider it, has a great significance on the human body, on the geographical workings of our planet, and naturally it is going to have an effect on the magic you perform. So, as a newbie, even when I started with magic, it was, you need to be very significant, you need to be very straight ahead, and you need to be very cleared with your, instructions, with your intention, that at what time what type of magic should be performed, because otherwise you are going to just waste your resources and you're going to waste the time. Okay, so moon is, being the, most significant new luminary body that is present and something that rises in the night time, it has a lot of different references. The moon in the tarot card also depicts, a lot of important things. Now, as an archetype, when we talk about the moon, it represents first of all your emotions. Okay, it represents your emotions, it represents your psyche, it represents your connection to your mother, it represents your mother in its totality as well. Okay, and then it goes ahead to connect to the element of water. Okay, so moon is signified by, and it plays a very significant role on the water bodies, and that is why you will listen to the news, and whenever there is, a storm coming or some geographical, some cyclone or something, you will see that during the seasons of new moon and during the times of full moon, the water bodies and the tidal energies are much more significant, right? So this naturally makes the new moon and the full moon much more potent energy portals on which any magic, when it is performed, gathers a more stronger energy, because the veil is thinner. But the kind of magic you perform on the new moon and the kind of magic you perform on the full moon are going to be very different, and we will go through that. But first, let me continue with why moon is so important. Now, naturally, it also has an effect on the gravitational force of the earth, and it rules and controls over the water element. Now, if you understand from this perspective, you all will be able to relate that water is also the most significant element in our body, right? So very naturally this water is controlled by the moon, and therefore our bodies are also controlled by the moon. And that is why on significant days your body is aching more, or your body is feeling drowsy, or some days you would be full of energy. And this is not going to be the same for everyone. This depends on the lunar day that you were born in, as well as the lunar energy that is currently ongoing, right? So a very simple moon or lunar classification that is done in the Vedic astrology or the Indian system is dividing the moon into lunar phases into Krishna Paksha and Shukla Paksha. Now, whenever we divide these two into Krishna Paksha and the Shukla Paksha, naturally from there we develop an understanding of the workings of the moon. Okay, so the phase from the new moon to the full moon, when the moon slowly builds from being zero to being a fully grown, round moon, that is known as the Shukla Paksha. Here the moon is gaining strength, it is gaining momentum, it is gaining a form, gaining a shape, and therefore this period is considered to be abundant, to be prosperous, and anything that you want to grow in your life should be done during this period of time. So wealth rituals, and then any kind of investment rituals, any kind of growth rituals, any health rituals, this is the ideal period because this is the benefic moon. Okay, moon is the only planet in astrology that can turn benefic or malefic depending upon the time in which you were born, or the time in which the moon phase that is running. So this is the benefic period. So in this time, whenever you perform some kind of ritual, it adds on, and we will be studying it in layers. This is a very basic layer based, this is the basic layer. Upon then we add on the layer of science and elementals, and on top of that we will be adding the element of other planets. Okay, so these are the three layers that you can move in, and that we usually move in while we are practicing any kind of spell work or any kind of ritual. Even a simple intention setting of please take away my problems, please give me good things in life should be done with the correct intention, and also in the correct period of moon. Okay, so this Shukla Paksha, which is the new to the fuller moon, those 15 days is going to be the benefic period. And then the period of the period ranging from the full moon to the new moon. Now this period, when it goes here, what happens? The moon loses its shape, right? It from the full round figure it starts losing, and it turns crescent, and then it slowly diminishes into nothing, and then we have the no moon, and after that the new moon, right? So this period is of deep transformation, and this is known as the Krishna Paksha, and usually this is considered to be a malefic period. Okay, because this is the time when the moon is slowly losing its power, its beauty, and it is turning mute. Okay, it is turning mute, and that is why this period is known as malefic period. And in this time, naturally, with the shape of the moon, if you see that we are letting things go, we are exiting. Okay, the moon is exiting from its fuller position. So here, during this time, during this Krishna Paksha, during this period, you are going to perform all those rituals which you regarding all those aspects of your life that you need to do away with, that you want to remove from your life. So if there is any health sickness or any health issues that you want to remove from your life, then this is the period where you will be manifesting, or you will be pulling the doing some kind of ritual for that. If you wish for any obstacle to go away from your life, so banishment spells, cleansing spells, this is the optimal time for doing these kind of spells. Does it mean that you cannot do a banishment spell during the Shukla Paksha? You can. Okay, it's not that you cannot, it's just that the energy doesn't fully support you. But if there is an emergency, like there is some stranger's energy that is impinging on you, and you need to do this ritual right away, then of course go ahead. There is no limitation and no extremely hard boundaries here, but it is better to perform during these periods because that amplifies the energy of something. Okay, so this is the starting, this is the very first element, okay, of when a ritual needs to be performed, talking about the Krishna and the Shukla Paksha. Then comes to another significance or another very important part, that your mood. Okay, moon rules your emotion. Moon is ruling your psyche, your subconscious mind, your unconscious mind. These all elements are represented by the moon. Okay, your mood, whatever you are feeling currently. So when you are doing some ritual, when you are doing some practice, when you are doing some sadhana, anything, you know, then your mood is a big factor. Okay, if you are calling in for a life partner and your mind and your emotional attachment is connected to very one specific person, then the spell is going to bounce back very badly, because you were not in the correct state of mind. And what is this correct state of mind? What is the point of time in which you feel, or in which one can say that okay, this person is in the right state of mind? What is the optimum state of mind in which you need to do magic? So imagine that there is an axis that flows from an imaginary point above your crown, above the head portion of your body, up above from it, and then moves right down vertically through the center of your body, and then releases from your between your legs, and then moves down to the earth. So that is a type of an axis, that is a type of a vortex that is there. Okay, so you have to, we will talk about this at length in another video, but you will have to place your focus along that vortex. So your third eye, this is the vortex on which the spinal cord, on which straight aligned are all your chakras. Correct. So this is the, while doing any ritual, your intention and your mode needs to be very neutral. Okay, you need to feel the right kind of energy, and then you will have to understand what ritual you are doing and have the right kind of energy. If you have anxiety about something, if you are confused about something, don't do that spell. Don't do any spell unless you are having complete clarity about it, because this is not the physical manipulation of some object. The physical manipulation has physical laws and physical judgment, which is the legal world out there, and the legal system proceeds in a very different way than the legal system which is the legal system in the physical world, and the legal judiciary system in the cosmic world or the spiritual world are two very vastly different things. When you break any kind of cosmic law, when you break any kind of karmic law, when you bring any kind of karmic harm to yourself or to anybody that is involved, you are breaching a contract, you are breaching a boundary or a line or a protocol that you are not supposed to breach, and the energy that returns back to you is going to be very difficult and very bad. This is a very clear cut scenario I am telling. So please don't do any ritual where you are trying to hurt others, or harm others, or even if you are under doubt that doing this would bring harm to anybody else or no, even then don't. Get a clarity, ask from somebody who is a superior or a senior to you, who has enough work in this particular background. Okay, this is a disclaimer that I sort of shouldn't have given in the beginning, but never mind. So this is again a very significant part that you have to keep in your mind. Okay, now when the part that we were talking about, your mood and your mental status should be very much neutral, very active, and you should be very aware and very clear about your ritual. It is like when during dissertations or during research work or during PhD, when the research problems are written in very clear definite definitions are there, very clear definite statements are there. Same is for any kind of ritual or any kind of intention. Even if you are not doing an elaborate ritual, even if you are looking in the night sky and you are wishing on something, even that has to be done in the right state of mind. Okay, because you never know what the energies cosmically are aligning up for you. Maybe it is a time when manifestation is at its peak. Okay, so then naturally it is going to manifest, but then it will bring a problem alongside. It is going to bring a family problem, or worst is that it affects the health, something catches on to you. So please don't you know maneuver through it and take this lightly and take this as a joke. Please be very serious. Draw enough adequate protection circle around you, and we'll discuss this in a later video. Today is more about the moon and your mind. So I think I've emphasized enough on your mood, your mental status, your focus point that should be absolutely neutral and present in the tandem with the ritual you are doing. Also, one more important point: if you have planned for a ritual, everything is done, all the setup is done, but there is a sudden pang of laziness or a sudden pang of I don't want to do it today, that happens to you, please don't do the ritual. It is 100% your cosmic guidance team guiding you, or your intuitive instinct inside of you that is navigating and telling you that some energy is not right in the moment. So don't do that spell that day, let it be, do it on another day. Okay. So please be very careful and take adequate rest. These are all very very important before you do some kind of ritual. All right, especially if you're doing rituals on portals, 8 portals, 11 portals, 12 portals, any kind of portal you are doing, some during the winter solstice or the summer solstice, whatever, whenever you are doing a portal during Christmas, during some Navaratri days, whatever it is, please be careful that your ritual first of all is in tandem with that energy that is cosmically aligning, and second of all that you are in your adequate health, because if you aren't, if you are not in proper health, then the energy will not go properly. It will either not happen or it will backfire, and then naturally many of us end up saying that nothing works, but it does. You have to do it in the proper time, in the proper direction and proper mannerism. Okay, so time, space, all of this has to be taken into consideration. Now we come to the signs and elements of the moon. Now, firstly, it is very important to look into your natal moon. Where is your natal moon placed? Where is your natal moon situated? Natal moon means the moon that was, the sign and the house in which your moon was when you were born. So during your time of birth, what was the moon's position in your birth chart? So that is known as the natal moon. So first you have to check there that during your birth, was the moon in which of the four elements? Was it in the fire signs, which is Aries, Leo and Sagittarius, or was it in the air signs, which is Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, or was it in the water signs, that is Scorpio, Pisces, Cancer, or what was it in the earthier signs, that is Virgo, Taurus and Capricorn? Okay, so these are the 12 zodiac signs. I'm sure many of you who clicked in this video already know about it, but even then just telling it, okay, but for anybody who is listening this for the first time. So these are the 12 zodiac signs, and the 12 zodiac signs come with their very own personal energy. But before we move into so much of details, firstly let us pay attention to the element that they are representing. So when first of all, look into your moon chart. Look into your moon sign. What is your moon sign and where is your moon placed? So houses, okay, houses are there. Houses can be talked about later. Houses will be a more stronger discussion. But when your moon is in earth sign, then naturally you will be somebody who grounds easily, or who it is easier for you to come back to the reality, and you will be naturally more adept in manifesting things which are related to the element of earth, such as career, finances, resources, or a sense of orderliness, a sense of work ethic, and profession, actions, your dharma, your karmic balance. So these are some of the elements that you will naturally be very good at, you will naturally be very adept at. Okay, and why am I talking about this? Because based on the elements that are there, based on the elementals energy that is currently there, your own elemental sign and the moon's current elemental sign, both should be in a tandem, both should be in the same tangent. Then it is going to magnify the effect of your magic much more. Okay, so if you are having an earth moon, then I'd recommend you to start with your earth their desires more, because naturally moon represents our emotions, it represents our subconscious mind. So you are going to naturally be drawn towards those elements into which your moon sign was when you were born. Okay, if you're having moon in the fire signs, now moon in fire signs is a very natural elemental clash. Okay, moon in fire signs is not considered to be a very kind of I'll not say good, but like it's not a very satisfactory position, because the mind here is always getting pushed and pulled into on the two ends of the same continuum. Okay, so your emotional experiences can become very fired up, or if it also happens if your moon is getting aspected by some other fiery planet, or it is situated with some fiery planet like the Mars especially, sun also, but mostly Mars. With sun the effect is something else, it forms another yoga, and then we'll talk about it later on. But then moon in fire signs is naturally going to give you the effect to the ability to cleanse. So any kind of cleansing magic, and also lot of passion. Okay, because fire signs are very active signs. Those are the if you see our zodiac calendar, it starts with Aries. Aries is the very first sign. Okay, so it starts with the fire. Okay, and it ends with water. So for fire, then there is earth, then there is air, and then there is water. So we move one after the other. Okay, so naturally moon in the fiery signs is going to give a very passionate moon, and you feel a lot of emotions, you have a lot of your emotional expression is also going to be very fiery. So you will naturally be adept, and it is better to start your ritual magic journey if you want to follow this pathway with magic done on elements of firstly cleansing, then comes any new investment. Health is also another very good department. Fame, recognition, power, these are all some of the very good placements, very good areas of magic for the moon in the fire sign. Okay, then moon in the air sign. Now moon in air sign, again elementally it's a little bit clashing, it's not very good, and neither is it nothing is bad, everything has its own advantage and disadvantages, pros and cons. So when moon is in the air sign, it gives a very chatty brain. Okay, so if you're having moon in Gemini, moon in Libra, moon in Aquarius, your thoughts are many. You will have a lot of thoughts, you will have a lot of ideas, you will have a lot of plans, you will have a lot of information, and you want to also have more and more information. Okay, the more nuanced areas would be understood when we speak about each and every sign separately, which we will do, but today is just the introductory part. So then when it comes to the air signs, it gives a more chatty moon. We call it chatty moon. Okay, because it chats a lot, it chirps a lot. Okay, it is connecting with your like with your brain, with your nervous system. You want to know, you want to be aware, you want to have a lot of information. That is the kind of moon. You feel calmer when you have information. Without that, you will feel completely unnerved. Okay, so that is the kind of moon in air sign that it gives. And if you have moon in air sign, or if the moon is in the air sign, then you can do certain magic for intelligence, for examinations, for knowledge. If you are deciding to start learning something new, then for that. If you are also your confidence, because here again you can connect with the chakras also. Okay, so your throat chakra, your communication. If you're somebody who gets afraid, for example, and has performance anxiety, then doing a spell after the full moon, during the Krishna Paksha, that is there after the full moon, when we are moving towards the newer moon, when the moon is slowly diminishing, doing 3 to 5 day spell to get relieved from performance anxiety when the moon is in the air sign like Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. That would be extremely brilliant. That is going to amplify the energy, and that is going to remove your communication blockage. Okay, so with moon in the air signs, that is something that you can do. When moon comes to the water signs, now this is the point where we talk about depth. Now here the moon gathers a lot of its original energy, because if you see, moon is the moon's own sign is Cancer. Okay, and moon debilitates in Scorpio, and moon exalts, that it performs excellent in Taurus, which is an earth sign. So when it is, so moon has its own home in the Cancer sign, and then moon gets debilitated when it comes to Scorpio. Both are water signs. Okay, and why does moon gets debilitated in Scorpio? Because Scorpio represents still water. Okay, Cancer, Pisces, these are all, freshwater body, lake or flowing waters. Okay, Cancer is a smaller body, and Pisces is going to be the oceanic body. But when it comes to Scorpio, it's more still and very deep waters. And here moon loses its natural ebb and flow process, because moon, if you see, as we all know, the waxing gibbous, the waning gibbous, whatever it is, moon has this constant ebb and flow. That is the nature of the tides also, that is the nature of your emotions. So it ebbs and it flows, it comes and it goes, it's very periodical, it's very fluctuating in nature. But Scorpio is a very, very, the most intense sign is Scorpio. And also moon's potentials are kind of lowered when it goes to Capricorn, again because Capricorn is also another very intense sign, and it is, a more rougher earthy sign, so naturally it loses its natural, potential. Now we'll go into that later. But so moon, when it moves to these water signs, it gets the natural potential to flow. Okay, so there is a lot of flow, there is a lot of, depth, more than flow, depth, that is goes when it is in Cancer and it's Pisces, it's that it has this flow. But when it goes to Scorpio, it gets this depth, it gets this transformational ability. Okay, so during the water signs, or when the moon is in water sign, or if you are someone who has a natal moon in your water sign, in a water sign, then you will be somebody who feels things deeply. Now this moves in variations. When it's in Cancer, it is more of a defensive emotion, you want to feel things but then you shut yourself down sometimes, or you easily get affected, you are sensitive. Okay, that is a very baby moon, it is like a newborn baby who is sensitive, who gets happy in the smaller things, upset with the, small things. Then when the moon goes into Scorpio, this becomes a more teenage young adultish moon. Okay, it becomes like lot more intense, it feels lot more, it understands lot of new perspectives, but it is not sure how to behave, how to perform, and that's why you will see, very sudden, very intense type of emotional experiences. And when the moon goes in Pisces, this is like a wise element, and this, unless it is badly aspected or something, 8th house or something, then it is not a good position. But other than that, if it is in Pisces, I'm just talking about the very crude raw energy. Okay, let's not go into houses that much. If it is just the energy of Pisces, then here moon gathers a lot of, divine powers, divine energies, lot of intuition, lot of psychic abilities. Any time in water sign, it gets the psychic abilities a little bit, but with Pisces, things magnify. Okay, so here there is a learning scape for Pisces. In the initial part, it is a little difficult to manage, but you feel very vast emotions. So this is a sign where usually you will see lot of empaths usually having moon in Pisces, because then you start absorbing emotions from everywhere. Also because Pisces is a mutual sign, it's a dual sign, so naturally the absorbing, the moon in Pisces becomes like an absorbent. It starts absorbing a lot of emotions, and unless it has strong boundaries, it doesn't work well. Why I gave this breakdown, a little deeper breakdown, I'm not partial to other moon signs. It is just that, so naturally it gets a lot of depth in it. Okay, now emotions and feelings are naturally going to come along with this water moon. So if you have a water moon, or if you are having a moon that is, in the watery signs, during that period you can perform certain elements, such as, spells relating to your own mental health, your own psyche, your own subconscious mind's working, dreams, that is going to be another part, divination, that is there, any kind of spells to heal the mother. So connection with your mother, healing your mother, doing a spell work with your mother. So these are all very much amplified and gets performed beautifully when the moon is in watery signs. If you have to let go of trauma, also making moon water, another element is making moon water. So that also, when done in the, especially Cancer and Pisces sign, it mostly Pisces, it works very well. Okay, so these are some of the water moon spells that can be done. So why? So I hope the, entire meaning is cleared, and I think this is the, amount of topic that I want to discuss today. In the next video, I will be discussing, I will be nuancing more on each of the signs, and what type of spell on which, with which sign is going to be a better kind of a spell, or how the energy works with each and every sign. So we're going to break down into Gemini separately, Aries separately, like that. And so today we discussed a lot of elements, and this last part was mostly to understand the element and how element affects the moon sign. And that when this, if you are having a certain element, let's say you have a moon in Taurus, so when the moon is in, again, in Taurus or in Virgo or in Capricorn, the best results would be in Taurus, and a little lesser in Virgo and Capricorn, when you try to put up spells regarding your finance, your resources, your growth, your establishment, your food habits. It is going to propel the ritual, and it is going to give the impetus. So try to align with the timing. Okay, if you are starting with the practice, try to align with the timing. Look into your natal moon, look into the kind of moon that is currently going, and try to pull the practice. And one more thing, it won't always be possible to do the kind of spells that your natal moon supports. So this, part, that where you use your natal moon sign and then the moon currently in which sign it is, that is one different area. So there are, you can do one type of ritual repeatedly whenever your natal moon and the moon in the sky is currently transiting in the same sign. So that is one type of spell. And at other times, you can trace what type of, where the moon is currently going. Okay, now if you are in India, then again, if you are trying to trace, please look into the, you can trace any kind of, use any kind of trustworthy website that posts the timing. And moon's transit period is like 2.5, 2.75 days. So every 2.5 or 2.75 days the moon transits. So let's say on 16th, it is on 16th of a particular month, it is in Scorpio. So by 19th it would be in another sign. Okay, so that is the moon's period. It is very short, moon transits very quickly, which also is in tandem with how close it is to earth, and also the energy, how quickly moon changes, and that is why our mood also quickly changes. So you can track that. So whenever moon is in water sign, you can do magic related to your divinity, your emotional health. Whenever moon is in the earth sign, you do according to resources. Whenever the moon is in fire sign, you pull, you can do rituals for growth, for cleansing, whatever. And again, when the moon is in the air signs, then you can do for communication, your speaking ability, your thoughts, education, knowledge base, wisdom, all of these elements. Okay, so this is how you can do, and we will be discussing further on what type of elements to be used during what time, and what are the correct kind of timings when to be done. daytime, nighttime, what tools to be used, and nuancing on the elements. Bye bye. If you like this video, please don't forget to follow, share, subscribe, comment, whatever you feel like, and all the best.